Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. It is really great to be with you this evening for me, or this afternoon for our guest today, who's Harold Neto, who is coming in from Brazil. And I forgot to ask exactly where in Brazil, but we'll hear more about that when Harold comes up on screen. And so let's invite Harold up here. How are you doing this afternoon? 3 o'clock for you, right?
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Hi, Kevin. Hi, everyone.
Harold, it's really great to have you. I know that you've been in the community a while, and it's actually been a while that we've been trying to do this, and we keep missing each other. And so, can you just let everybody know, those people who've never heard of you or never come across you, tell us a little bit about you and also how you came to join the OpenExO community.
Okay, so I'm Harold. I'm based in Brazil, actually northeast of Brazil. There's a very famous city here called Salvador. I live in a beach next to it. It's famous for the carnival party, every year. So it's an amazing, like beach-wise is amazing. Business-wise, it's not so good. So I'm the CEO of Metanoia Digital. And metanoia is a Greek word that means change one's mind. So actually, the idea of it's a UX and innovation consultancy. I'm a UX designer in my background, my professional background, and we work with a lot of big corporations, large enterprises here in Brazil, also elsewhere, and we basically like design amazing digital experiences. That's basically it. I've been for 7 years in the innovation space, and it was very funny because I got in touch with a mentor. He was the first person to talk about design thinking here in Brazil, and he moved to the US. When he started mentoring me, he gave me an opportunity to work with him in one of the projects. I moved to the US, and at some point, our partnership didn't go through. So there I was in the US without any money, without any hopes, like getting indebted in dollar. At some point, I was breaking dry walls, to live. But it was in that time that I joined the community. So I knew Singularity and so on, and there was the opportunity to participate on the Exponential Transformations book.
Yes.
I enjoyed the list. I got approved. And it was like the last day of the deadline to make your contributions. I spent like the whole day writing stuff. And to my surprise, a few months later, when we got the copy of the book, there's a page with a case of mine over there. In the page 51, there's the storytelling approach to MTP. And, my mind just blew when I saw it, Kevin. I was so happy, so excited, and that's like 5 years ago. And I joined the community, and I don't talk much. I'm not the best guy on marketing, I think, but I think I'm one of the most active ambassadors here in Brazil because I have given so many lectures on EXO awareness and stuff like that, and I'm quite happy with the community itself.
No, absolutely, and I mean that's really great. I mean the of late, there's suddenly been another spike in people in Brazil joining the community. We've had a number of lawyers join too, which is very interesting. So anyway, so let's definitely see where that goes. Now, you spoke about how in exponential transformation, the storytelling side of MTP was came from you. Can you tell us about your MTP and the story behind that?
Yeah, sure. Let me start with the story. When in my first intern, like the first job I ever had in my life, I was doing data analytics and I had no idea. Okay. So I was helping ArcelorMittal, the European largest steel company in the world. They were moving their data from Oracle database to SAP, and SAP
Mhm.
would become their ERP. And I was the intern there to, validate the database and the data warehouse they were building and all this. And what I started to do is like I would take like the big tables, data tables, and then I would do some calculations in Excel and validate and send to the data team, for them to organize and correct and do stuff like that. And by the second week, I was like, oh my God, I need to do the same thing every week. That's not possible. I need to do something about that. So that's when I discovered, Excel VBA and macros in Excel, and I automated the whole process. And it was cool because I would do all the calculations on Monday, would deliver to the team by Monday instead of by Thursday, which was what I was doing in the past. And I was spent from, as a good intern, I was spent from Tuesday to Friday browsing the web in the internship. Not the best idea that I had. But one day, my boss, she came into my cubicle, and she said, I wanted to look because it looks like you're doing this so fast, and that's so interesting. And I showed to her what I did, and I built kind of like a small software inside Excel to do the calculations and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And her mind was blown. She had like 30 years of financial and stuff like that, and she never did a macro on Excel ever. And I was like, wow. And it was so impactful that she paid an Excel course for everybody to learn like VBA and macro inside the department, and completely changed the way they worked, you know? And that was amazing because I was like, I don't know, 20 something, early
Yes.
20s. And it completely changed them. And then in my career, Kevin, what has been happening is, uh, was I doing like data analytics in the past in corporate environment, then coming to innovation, doing design sprint workshops, etc. I always would have the feedback of people saying, "Man, you changed the way we work."
Mm.
One of my customers here in Brazil, by the end of a workshop, he said, "I would have taken like 6 months to get what you got in 3 days." And the storytelling approach that I added to the book talks about, I don't know if you know the concept of the hero's journey. The
Mm.
hero's journey is a framework for storytelling, very famous on the movies.
Yes.
A lot of movies is based on this framework. And I think we should look at the hero's journey like our hero's journey. But the most important journey is actually the journey of other people, their journey as heroes, and how we become mentors for them to become heroes.
Mm.
And I think that's a different thing that I learned through my life, and through my professional experiences. And so when I started thinking about my MTP, I decided, I don't want to build like my MTP for my hero journey. I want to build, let's say, a customer centric MTP where I'm looking at my role as a mentor for the journey of other people. And
Mm.
what are other people saying to me? And they were saying, you changed our work. So in the end, my MTP became work reimagined. That's my
Yeah.
MTP. And I think it's massive because you have so many different types of work, so many like niches I can go to, so many ways to do that. And it's transformative. I'm not a guy who believes in like universal basic income, the end of jobs and stuff like that. I just think work that we're doing now is not the most valuable work we were created for.
Yes.
And that's my MTP, man. Work reimagined.
Amazing, amazing. That's awesome, and the story around it is really awesome too. That it's really built in, and I think that's what's so important about an MTP, right? Is that it's lived. there's there, there's nothing worse than an MTP that is just a purpose washing or a a hope that you actually don't live, which unfortunately we see in many corporates.
Exactly. And it's also like, as I mentioned before, it's customer centric. It's not like self-centered. It's not like I want to have my own yacht or stuff like that. I want to know how many people got a yacht working with me. That's
Yes,
that's
yeah,
kind of like the
absolutely.
mindset behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, as you said, I mean, you sharing about EXO out there like all the time, but how are you actually, leveraging the model, the attributes, in your day to day?
Okay, I think the first thing is like social technologies. I grew up when I was like using Mirk. I don't know if you ever use IRC, which is the basis for Slack. It was a chat communicator, and so like social technologies are part of my life since I am a teenager. So it's something I'm really strong at. I have done a lot of business from that side, I think.
Mm.
And my own consultancy is kind of like a broker of innovation. I have many people around our MTP, so I can cherry pick different people for different projects. So it's really like Steph on demand. I have a community of people who really like follows me, a lot of students, because I used to be a teacher of many schools here in Brazil. And so like, I'm kind of like this platform. The business is kind of like a platform for innovation, for a UX innovation, actually. So I think those are the key ones. I can say the ones that I struggle with. Like I struggle a lot with dashboards. I'm having a hard time to have like my own dashboards, and follow up the results of my company and stuff like that. But mostly, what I believe, and that's kind of like a teasing for the OpenExO community, is I believe there's like a flow to the EXO model. So once you got your MTP, you're gonna more easily connect to the community, and you need to understand their algorithm, like their process, so you can build interfaces that are going to drive this new algorithm to a new stage. So I usually, when I do EXO exercise with my customers, I usually follow this track, MTP, community, algorithm, and interface, and then you go to the other attributes. So right now, I think I'm strong on the community and the algorithm. I'm I'm building the interface. This broker model is not there yet, but it's working. Pay my baby's diaper. But at some point, I think I'm going to start like leveraging the other attributes.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I like how you've shared that. It depends on the organization. I also do think like what they're sort of strong at. I'm quite a big believer in hey, you're already strong at these attributes, like strengthen them even more. And then we can try tackle some of the things maybe you're weak at. But obviously, what's super important is that so many organizations don't even have anything, and ultimately it's really difficult. You've got disruption that rarely can just come. Now, I think disruption is good. I think you do too. Driving digital disruption is something that you like sort of stand for, right? So why are you really so passionate about that?
Well, I don't know. I think it's my life experiences. I'm always like, I have lived in France, Brazil, US, Brazil, and I have changed so many times of what I was doing, the tasks that I was performing, but I always attach it to the MTP, as I mentioned in the story in the beginning. So I really believe one of the books that I liked the least when I read was the mindset book from Carol Dweck, growth mindset and fixed mindset.
Yes.
I was always on this direction of the growth mindset. But when I look around, a lot of people, they still like suffer from fixed mindset, So I like disruption because I think it's what drives us forward, and whenever you're stuck either personally or as an organization, you have a really hard time, to get back up. It's better for you to surf the wave of disruption and becoming a leader than getting back, trying to get that once the wave has passed, and
no, absolutely. I mean, once the wave has passed, then usually the tide's coming back out, and it's just pushing you even further away, right?
Exactly.
And so it is so important for people to see that. Yet it's crazy to think that there's still so many people with a fixed mindset, right now. It was a couple months ago, Salim and I were in Botswana, and we met with the president. It was actually quite surreal. It was quite crazy. A community member of ours is quite well connected there, and they're doing this whole drive across the country around fixed and growth mindset. And ultimately what we said is, I mean, that is important, but actually beyond a growth mindset, there's actually an exponential mindset, a mindset that says there is an ability to tap into abundance, and how do we actually create that? And the question is, do you have to go through a growth mindset to get there? I mean, or can you leapfrog like, countries, didn't have landlines and they went straight to mobile. So, I mean, it's a very exciting time to be alive, right?
Exactly. I think that's the most important part. And the exponential mindset, it's something so first unique, and I think the EXO community help us so much on that. But also is something so rare still, like we're like a small bubble, I go to many places, as I mentioned, like doing awareness sessions, and I talk to a lot of enterprises and so on, and they're still so stuck in the linear mindset, and how can we improve like 5% next year, and we're not tapping any exponential technology and stuff like that, and that's still so rare. I usually joke, Kevin, that it's been like 5 years that I'm in the community, 5 years that I've been giving lectures, and my slides on the lecture have changed very, very little, and people are still amazed. They're like, "Wow, that is so incredible."
I mean, this is another thing that I feel exactly the same way, right? I can remember. I mean, I go back and look at my slides, and I'm like, there are times where I can go in somewhere and I'm like, this is old. It is old. But people are saying this really is so amazing, or quite amazing. Which is, I mean, in terms of being able to grow the community, I guess it's a good thing. We keep saying, if we're gonna make any type of change, we probably need at least 1 million people, and we're quite far from that. But actually, if you're on this exponential type of curve, those first 5 years, you are growing rapidly, but it looks like nothing, right? But also with big changes that are happening in the way we actually lead, in the way we communicate, and that brings me to an article that you recently wrote, which is about like wolves to ants, and I really liked where you showed like the different communications, like the way wolves communicate versus the way ants communicate. And I'd like you to just maybe share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's one of the loves that I have for digital, because digital changed so much my life that I try to understand how it's changing society and all of this. And what we really realize by looking at digital technologies is that in the past, we were mostly like wolf packs. So we had like an alpha leader who had like a hierarchy of how things were going. and the communication was like, I decide what's going inside my own channel or news media or product,
Yes.
or like factory, whatever. And now we move to mostly like a colony of ants, where you have just the platform, and then everybody can go there and become a leader, and then someone else is the leader, so you have more like a contextual leadership. And I think the big difference on digital is that we now leave tracks, and that's the ants communicative model. They leave tracks for other ants to follow the tracks, and that's what we're doing in digital. So when we compare, let's say, the largest media group here in Brazil, they have 100 million viewers. That's a lot. They're really big. But when you go to Netflix, they're still like kind of like a wolf trying to become an ant. They have 250 million subscribers. But when you go to YouTube, that is like the ant model, and anyone can go there, become a leader, put their voice inside, and so on. And everybody leaves a track. So your track, it's a guide for my own path inside YouTube, and so on. You get to 2.5 billion people. So, and I think this is the big disruption that is going on. And there is something very particular inside this concept, Kevin, that I think is important for everybody that is listening, and especially business leaders, is that the fact that I, as an ant, can either become a leader or can leave a track to someone else, means that right now I have a behavior of uploading stuff. So when I started to browse the web, and probably by your time too, everything we could do was download. I would go to Napster, I would go download music, download video on Casa, download news from big news outlets, and so on. But right now, I can upload my home to Airbnb, my car to Uber, my book to Amazon, my content or daily activities to social media, and so on. So the new generation, the digital native, they have this expectation of uploading stuff. They upload comments, they upload their lives, they play video games, which is kind of like an upload entertainment, because they're giving inputs, to the game. And they come to the business world, and they get to mostly a download environment, that resembles more with the wolf pack than to the colony of ants.
Yes.
They go to the education system, and the education system is the download environment. Here's a 1 terabyte of books that you need to read. And I think that mismatch, it's what is driving disruption all over the place. The mismatch between a behavior of a new society that is more upload, what I call the upload generation, and the download environments that they're working at. And I work with a lot of churches here in Brazil, and it's the same thing. Church leaders, pastors and stuff, they come to me and they say, the young people, they don't pay attention anymore to the church, they don't want to be part of. That's because they go to an environment that is download. The pastor is there, you need to do this, do that, etc. But then they browse the internet, and they can upload their own stuff. So I think that's a huge impact on society right now. And business leaders need to rethink how they're going to attract talent and how they're going to change to their customers.
No, like absolutely right. And as you were speaking, I mean, just thinking about upload and download, all I was thinking of was actual like upload and download speed in terms of an internet connection, right? And upload was never a thing. They would tell you what the download speed was. And for me, what's most important is what the upload speed is. Like when someone tells me, oh, it's a great internet connection, and I'm like, okay, but what's the upload? Like, I don't care about the download. I want to know what's the upload, because I'm sending stuff to the internet all the time. And it's so like, it's just so great how you've shared that, because it's like you can see that big shift where like literally in internet packages, the upload speed has increased exponentially, absolutely, as opposed to what it used to be, because it wasn't important before.
Exactly, especially like after 2015 or something like that, ISPs started to increase the upload. And
Yes.
nowadays, usually their ads is like, you have enough bandwidth to stream your games, and to play like 5 video games at a time.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's now like 200 up, 200 down, or 500 up, 500 down. Whereas they were never equal. Now they equal, right?
Yeah. So it makes sense. I'm on the right direction with this concept, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Harold. Now, Harold, as I said to you at the beginning before we started, the time is going to disappear too quickly, and it has, right? And so I always end off with one question, which is, if there was just one thing you could share with people, only one thing, what would that one thing be?
One thing. I think right now, you mean more like philosophically or methodologically, whatever?
As you wish. I mean, it can be philosophical. It can be, do this thing, or this is what's really important. Yeah.
Okay. As I mentioned before, I'm going to reinforce an aspect that I think we're having a lot of difficulty globally with life and work-life balance and universal basic income, and Matrix and the machines are coming to take all of our jobs, and we're gonna live in a simulated environment, and stuff like that. I am not a proponent of separating your life. And I think a lot of people are going through burnouts and stuff like that because of that, trying to separate, like, my work is one thing, my life is another thing, and actually it's not. Work is an integral part of our life. We're always gonna, do work, have work. Maybe what's happening in your life right now is you're doing work that is not aligned to your MTP. And I think that's what you should be driving towards too. As I mentioned in the beginning, Kevin, I decided to take a leap of faith to go to the entrepreneurial route. In the US, I even broke drywalls. It was crazy because one day I was actually like breaking drywalls in a, doing a reformation to get some money. And I got out of the place and I went online to give a lecture on exponential organizations to a group of people. There was the director of Coca-Cola and stuff, and a bunch of important people. So I think you need to choose the route where work is a pleasure inside your life and not something you want to separate from, and you're going to suffer burnout and stuff like that. I think that's my message.
Your message. Awesome. Harold, it's great to connect with you and to chat. Thank you so much for joining us. And have a fantastic afternoon.
Okay, you too. Thanks a lot for the audience, and see you guys around on the community.
Perfect. Cheers, Harold. So amazing chatting to Harold this evening for me, and so important to really realize what your MTP is. I sort of agree with Harold there in terms of work-life balance. I believe in finding balance overall. But come join the community. Come and have that discussion in the Discord. Write an article. Be part of the community. And right now, we're actually running a promotion. You can become a premium member, pay for 1 year. We'll give you 3 years. We want to transform the world for a better future. So come along and join us. See you next week.